So we just heard Tracy talk about the size of Alibaba. And while numbers never tell the whole story, they can give us some perspective on the company. So let's take a look at those numbers again. Alibaba has 231 million active buyers. Putting that into perspective, that's roughly the population of Indonesia, or roughly twice that of Mexico. Now, each one of those customers makes an average of 49 purchases each year. That comes down to about 4 a month. Now, Tracy mentioned the total e-commerce market. Well, out of that, Alibaba controls roughly 76% of China's mobile retail market. Now, of course, mobile is becoming increasingly important there. But don't be fooled, China is hardly the only place where Alibaba does business. In fact, Alibaba says it has customers in more than 190 countries. So by most measures, that's just about all of them. So how does Alibaba stack up against the competition? Well, that's a tough one since Alibaba covers many sectors. But here's some perspective. Alibaba did about $248 billion in business last year. That's more than eBay and Amazon combined. It also delivered about 5 billion packages. That's more than United Parcel Service, or UPS, here in the States. Then there's the company's valuation. Now, how much is it worth? In April, Alibaba valued itself at $109 billion. That means it's bigger than Visa and Home Depot, and just behind Facebook. But bear in mind, that's before the offering. Analysts say Alibaba could be worth twice that much, if not more. Well, Alibaba's expected blockbuster IPO isn't sitting well with everyone, namely some of the company's former employees who won't be cashing in on the listing. But some of them say they're not worried since they have ambitions of their own.
I used to just be a software developer, and it would have been very hard to imagine myself owning a company. I would never have considered it. But at Alibaba, I was exposed to all of this and became interested in e-commerce. So I left and started my own company. Apart from the money, Alibaba gave me a lot, like management experience.
Now, critics say Alibaba may stifle smaller entrepreneurs, but the local startup community includes some former Alibaba executives, and some of them have become entrepreneurs in their own right. Some of these Alibaba alumni say they're working towards an IPO of their own. Alibaba's IPO is also being watched closely in Silicon Valley since Yahoo owns a sizable stake in the Chinese internet giant. Mark Niu joins us live from Silicon Valley for perspective on how the IPO will impact the tech scene there. Mark, what do you got for us?
Karina, I'd have to say that here in Silicon Valley, the Alibaba IPO filing is being met with a sense of excitement, hype, and some confusion. This odd mix results from a lot of comparisons of people calling it the Chinese Amazon, the Chinese Facebook, or the Chinese eBay, when really it's more like all of them combined. The tech community here keeps hearing about it and the claims of being the biggest IPO ever, but the simple truth is that very few people in the U.S. and Silicon Valley have ever used Alibaba services or really know what the company does. That's what I found out when I took to the streets of Silicon Valley to hear reaction to the IPO filing.
Yeah, the sentiment is that we know nothing about it, but we absolutely, all of us, need to be taking all of the money that we have under the mattress and investing in Alibaba. And the fact that none of the people encouraging this behavior can explain it or show you it is actually incredibly helpful, because it allows you to kind of create your own feelings about Alibaba.
I think it was a good investment on Yahoo's part to take a stake in Alibaba, and if it pays off, it's good for Yahoo. I mean, they've been floundering for quite some time, so something good happening is good.
And as that tech worker brings up, the deal will have a major impact here because it affects Sunnyvale, California internet giant Yahoo. It was first thought that Yahoo owned 24% of Alibaba, but according to the IPO filing, it actually owns a little less, a 22.6% stake in Alibaba, which is worth about $26 billion. In the IPO, Yahoo will be required to sell about 40% of its stake in Alibaba, or 208 million shares, which is likely to be worth somewhere between $10 to $15 billion. Analysts here say that will officially bring to an end the long honeymoon period for a new CEO, Marissa Mayer of Yahoo, as investors have been primarily focused on Yahoo's investments in Alibaba and Yahoo Japan. Now the focus shifts to Mayer's efforts to revive the company and what she will do with that cash. I reached out to Yahoo, which did not comment on the matter. Yahoo's Marissa Mayer has made very little comments about the Alibaba cash influx in the past. In an earnings call in April, when asked about the pending Alibaba windfall, she said the company intended to be good stewards of its capital and to expect to see the same type of mix that Yahoo has been making to date, including some strategic acquisitions. Some possible options include a buyback of Yahoo shares or perhaps rewarding shareholders with dividends. No one knows for sure. Karina.
What? On what? Thank you, Mark.